Okay, lesson 13 is fraction and decimal concept. This is a support lesson. Go ahead and get your name on your paper and the title of these notes on your paper and ready to go, and push play when you're ready to begin. Fractions and decimals are the terms that we use when we don't have enough for a whole number amount. Think of it in terms of money, because you guys are very good at using fractions and decimals in real life, because money is all about that. Any coins you have is a decimal amount of a dollar, a decimal amount of money, or a fraction of a dollar. So let's use that to help you kind of tie into what fractions and decimals are. If you have 50 cents, you are halfway between 0 and 100 cents, which is $1, $1 being the whole amount. 50 cents is half of that. So if you have 50 cents, you're halfway there to $1. You also might say that if you have 50 cents, you have half a dollar, half of a dollar, which would put you right here. So if you keep in mind, because I know a lot of people get nervous or scared of fractions and decimals because they don't have quite an understanding of what's going on. But if you keep in mind that you know fractions and decimals very, very well because you have coins in your pocket. Those are decimals. Those are fractions. So what a fraction and decimal is just not enough to be a whole thing. Go ahead and copy this information down, and we'll proceed on to the next part. So let's take a closer look at decimals first of all. Decimals, let's look at their place value. We talked about place value way back at the beginning of the school year, and we had on this side of the decimal the ones place, the tens place, and on that way. On this side we have the tenths place and the hundredths place. What these really mean is I'm going to take a whole piece from 0, let's say, to 1 whole. And if I have a number in the tenths place, I'm breaking that evenly into 10 equal pieces from 0 to 1. So I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then reaching this last part would be 10. I've now broken the 0 and the 1, the whole number amount, into 10 equal pieces because of the tenths place. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whatever number is sitting in the tenths place, let's say I had 4 tenths, that's 4 out of 10 broken pieces, 4 tenths. Whatever number's there is the number then that I would cross to. So I would cross over 1 of those 10 pieces, 2 of those 10 pieces, 3 of those 10 pieces, 4 of those 10 pieces, and that would put me right about there on the number line. That is 4 tenths as a decimal. Same as 40 100ths, because if I called these 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, the 100ths place just breaks it into 100 pieces. So this is 4 tenths, or 40 100ths, or 4 tenths as a fraction. This is all the same amount. That's 40 cents, 4 tenths of a dollar. Okay? So fractions and decimals are the same thing. The place value for decimals tells you how many pieces to break the whole number into. The number that's sitting there, in this case the 4, is how many of those places you've gone across. Okay, so what if I'm looking at the number 1.32? What this means is that I've gone across one full number. Here I've fit all the way across one full number completely. Yay for me, one full dollar, right? And out of this, remember that's the tenths and that's the hundredths place. This number ends in the hundredths place. So I didn't make it to 2. I have not made it there. And if I break the section between 1 and 2 into 100 pieces, because I've landed in the hundredths of place, then I can find where 32 out of those 100 falls. So I'm going to break it into 100 pieces. I'm going to count by tens to make it easy. So we've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. That you land on that last one, that counts because you're looking at the pieces in between. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay? And out of those 100 pieces, I'm using 32 of them. Well, this was 10, 20, 30, and just a little past that would be 32 right in the middle there. So that is 0.32. So it's 1.32. Not all the way to 2, right? We didn't make it all the way to 2. That's why it's a portion of it. It's $1.32, one full dollar. There's a dollar bill in my hand. And some coins, 32 cents worth of coins. That's not a full dollar. So one full dollar and not quite 2 yet. So for decimals, whichever place it ends in, the tenths place or the hundredths place, is how much you will break the whole number up into. You'll either break it into 10 equal pieces or 100 equal pieces. There's thousands and stuff like that that goes beyond, but I wouldn't really worry about that right now. I would just focus on the tenths place and the hundredths place right now to make sure that you get it, because you're familiar with that already when it comes to coins and dollars. Okay, and for fractions compared to decimals, to me, fractions are even a little bit easier because they tell you exactly how much it is broken down into. So the denominator of the fraction, the bottom number, tells you how much the whole number is split into from 0 to 1 or 1 to 2, whatever the whole number that's in between. The numerator, the top number, tells how much is used. Go ahead and copy that information down and I'll show you more what I mean. Okay, so if I have the fraction 4/5, the denominator, the bottom, tells me how many equal pieces the number is broken into from 0 to 1 for the whole number. So this is broken into 5 equal pieces. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you land on the whole number to make it that fifth one, 5, because what we're looking at is not the marks themselves, but the space, the chunks in between. That's 1 chunk, 2 chunk, 3 chunk, 4 chunk, 5 chunk to get from one whole number to the next whole number. So we're looking at 5 chunks. Pretend those are equal, supposed to be equal. Okay. The numerator tells how much we've crossed over. Well, we've crossed over 4 because it says 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4/5 on a number line is there between 0 and 1. 4/5. 4 out of the 5 pieces were used. Okay, let's do an I do here. And I'm actually going to do 2 I do's here because there's something I want you to kind of keep an eye out for. So first we're going to do this I do, and then I'm going to show you a negative I do as well. So on this I do, just make sure you've got your game face on and you're paying close attention here so you don't miss anything. On this I do, I'm looking at plotting on a number line both a fraction, this is a mixed number because it has a whole number and a fraction. So a fraction and a decimal. So let's start here. This says that I went over 2 whole numbers first, 2 full dollars, right? So there's 1 and there's 2. I've crossed over both of those completely. And now I didn't make it to the third number, but I did cover part of it. I broke it into 3 even pieces, 1, 2, and that third piece lands on there because we're not talking about the lines themselves, we're talking about the chunks in between. That's 1 chunk, 2 chunk, 3 chunk. So I broke it into 3 chunks, and out of those 3 chunks I crossed over 1 of them. So 2 1/3 on the number line is right there. 2 full and then 1 of the 3 broken pieces. Let's look at 2.3. Remember, this is in the tenths place, so that's how we're going to break the partial piece up. But first, let's do the whole number. 2 full, that's $1, $2. You've got 2 full dollars, 2 full, just like up here. And then we have 0.3, that's 3 tenths, because this ends in the tenths place. So what we're going to do is break from 2 to 3, because we didn't quite make it to the whole number 3 yet. We're breaking this into 3 tenths. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That 10th one lands on the whole number part because it's the chunks in between that we're counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Pretend those are all equal pieces. They're supposed to be all equal pieces. Anyway, so now it's broken into 10 pieces because this is the tenths place. Out of those 10 pieces, we've gone across 3 tenths of them. 1, 2, 3. That is 2.3 on the number line right there. Okay, and then this is the second I do because I wanted to show you to be careful on the negatives. I see a lot of mistakes here, simple mistakes that are easy to fix if you pay close attention. Remember that on the negatives that when we're counting in a certain direction, we're counting away from 0. When we were going positive, we were counting that way because we're going away from 0. Well, negatives, we're counting that way because we're going away from 0. So if I'm looking for negative 1 1/4, 1 is my whole number, so I count across negative 1 because that's a whole amount. I did not make it to negative 2. I only made it 1/4 of the way. This means I've broken it into 4 equal pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, you land on that whole number on that last one because it's the chunks I'm looking at. Chunk. Oops, I didn't want that. Chunk, chunk. 1 chunka, 2 chunka, 3 chunka, 4 chunka. Okay? Erased that. Okay, so I've traveled across one of those 4s. Now here's the mistake I see a lot. I see people go that way. But that's the positive direction, and we don't want to do that. Don't do that. What we're going across is we're going negative direction. We've got to go negative direction. So I've crossed over 1 full one for the whole number and 1 of the 4 chunkas for the negative 1/4. So this is negative 1 1/4 right here. So make sure you're going the correct direction when you go in the negative direction. It's all the same thing. It's just that you are traveling the opposite way. Negative 1.25. We're going to start at 0 and we're going the negative direction across 1 whole because you've got 1 whole number here. And then we have 25 that ends in the hundredths place, meaning I'm splitting between negative 1 and negative 2, those 2 whole numbers, I'm splitting it into 100 pieces. So I'm going to count by tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100 lands on the whole number because it's the chunks I'm looking for. 10 chunkas. Oops, I did the eraser again. Let's try this again. I was trying for my pointer. Okay, 10 chunka, 20 chunka, 30 chunka, 40 chunka, 50 chunk, 60 chunk, 70 chunk, 80 chunk, 90 chunk, 100 chunks. Okay, I didn't want to draw 100 of them. That would take us forever. Out of those 100 chunks going negative direction, I'm crossing across 25 of them. So I've got 10, 20, and then right in the middle is going to be the 5, right, between the next 10. So negative 1.25 will be right there on the number line. Notice they're in the same place. This is the same amount as that. Owing somebody $1.25, $1.25 is the same as owing them $1.25. They're the same number. Okay, so let's do a we-do on this, and we're going to graph the mixed number fraction, and then we're also going to graph the decimal version of it. So we've got 3 1/5. Pause where you need to catch up, but this all needs to be in your notes. And we have 3.2. We'll draw number lines for that. It's in the positive, and I don't have any negative I need to work with, so I'm going to stick my 0 way down here. And I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and I better go one more, 4, because it's 3 and a little bit more. So it's going to go past my 3. This is also 3 and a little bit more. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, focusing on this one first. I've crossed across 3 whole numbers starting at 0, going the positive direction because it's a positive number. I'm going to cross over 1 full number, 2 full numbers, 3 full numbers. Because this says I crossed over 3 full numbers, I have $3 and a little bit more. Now, how much is the little bit more? Well, it's 1 out of 5 broken pieces. So let's break this next set of whole number between the 3 and the 4 into 5 equal pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 goes on that line there because it's the chunks we're counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chunks. So I have 5 equal chunks because the denominator says it's broken into 5 equal pieces. Of those 5 equal pieces, I have used one of them. So I'm just going to cross over one of them right there. And that is where 3 1/5 is located on that number line. Let's look at 3.2. Again, I have the whole number 3. 3 is the full amount I've covered. That's starting at 0, that's 1 full number, 2 full number, 3 full number, like 3 full dollars. 2 is in the tenths place. So I'm splitting the next amount into tenths, 10 pieces, 10 equal pieces. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That 10 one lands on the full number because, again, it's the chunks I'm after. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 chunks. Pretend those are nice and equal. And out of those 10 chunks, I have crossed over 2 of them. 2 out of the 10 chunks. 1, 2. 3.2 is right there. Same spot. Because 1/5 of $1 is the same as 20 cents. That could have been 20/100ths, 20 cents. And if that was 20/100ths, that would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, and that's the same thing, 20/100ths. So when you put the 0 on there, it doesn't really change it at all. So 3.15, or I'm sorry, 3 1/5 and 3.2, same amount of money. Okay, your turn, your chance to see, did you understand this very well, or where are you going to get stuck at? Go ahead and write down the problem, pause it and try and solve the problem on your own and either get to an answer or get to the part where you get stuck so you know where you're getting stuck. Push play and I'll walk myself through it and you can see whether you got it correct or whether you're messing something up. So go ahead and try this one on your own and then push play when you're ready. All right, let's go ahead and do this one then. This is positive, so I've already drawn the number lines, and I have 2 full amounts. So starting at 0 and it's positive, so I go the positive direction. 1 full amount, 2 whole numbers. I've gone across 2 whole numbers. And this is saying that I've done 2 whole numbers and a little bit of another one, but not quite the whole way to 3. How many pieces did I break it into? I'm breaking it, the next amount, into 5 equal pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It lands there because I'm looking at the chunks that are in between. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 even chunks. And of those 5 even chunks, I've gone across 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4 puts me right here. So 2 4/5 is right there. What about in the decimal? Well, the whole number amount is 2 full dollars. One whole number, 2 whole numbers. And then I didn't quite have enough to make that 3 whole number. Close, but not quite. I have 8/10 of it, a part of it. Remember, decimals and fractions are a part of a whole, not the whole thing. So I have part of it. How many? Well, I have 8 out of 10 because it's 8/10, 8 in the tenths place. So I'm going to break this section from 2 to 3 into 10 equal pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ugh, sorry. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That 10th one lands on the next whole number because what I'm looking for is the chunks in between. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Pretend those are equal pieces. They're supposed to be equal. And I'm going to count across 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've crossed 8 of them and landed there. And that is 2.8 on the number line. Same spot basically right there. Right there. 2 4/5 of a dollar is the same as $2.80. Okay, and I'm going to have you do one more you do because I really want to make sure you understand the negative side of it. It's the same thing. Just keep in mind that when you're going in the negative number, you're going in the opposite direction because you're going away from 0. So here's 0 and we're going away from it. So make sure you take the numbers off into the negative direction. Go ahead and try these 2 you-dos and see how you do. Pause, get as far as you can or all the way through it, get an answer, and then push play to see what I get and whether we got the same thing. So now you've got some sort of an answer, or you got as far as you could get until you got stuck. And let's have a look at what we have. I have a -1 whole number, -1. So I made it all the way to -1. But I didn't make it all the way to -2. I only made it as far as one whole number. I made it 2/3 of the way. That means 2 out of 3 broken up pieces. So I'm going to break up between -1 and -2. I'm going to break it into 3 equal pieces. That's 1 chunk, 2 chunk, 3 chunk. And out of those 3 equal pieces, remember I have to travel this way. So I'm right here right now. I covered 2 of them. 1, 2, because that was the numerator here. And this is -1 and 2/3. Not quite to the -2 yet, but getting there. For -1.6, same thing here. My whole number is -1. I travel that direction because I'm going negative. Then I have, here I have 6/10, 6 out of 10. So I'm going to break this section into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 10th one goes on there because it's the chunks I'm counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And of those 10 pieces, I crossed over 6 of them, 6/10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right here. This is -1.6. Same place. I've been using the same numbers all along on purpose. So -1 2/3 of a dollar is the same as -$1.60. 60 out of 100 or 6 out of 10 is the same thing. So these would be the answers you should have seen on your number line. Hopefully this makes sense to you. You can rewind what you need to, review what you need to. If you're still unsure, you can have me explain a little bit further. Bring me your notes to get your closure questions when you feel confident that you can answer those closure questions successfully. And then I'll get you onto your challenge task for the day.